Good afternoon on what is a bright, warm and sunny day. It is Thursday the 6th of May. I'm in the Read Nook with parcel which I've already started to unbox. Nice hot cup of tea. And what I've pulled out so far consists of No Security, which is Horror Scenarios in the Great Depression by Caleb Stokes, who now writes for Delta Green. But these are systemless scenarios set during the Great Depression for the role-playing game of Lovecraftian investigative horror of your choice. The other thing I pulled out was Stormbringer, Eric's Saga Volume 2, which has just been released. And the last thing I'm going to pull out of here is this, which is Killer Come Back to Me, The Crime Stories of Ray Bradbury. Released on basically the 100th centenary of Ray Bradbury's birth. It's part of the Hard Case crime series. And the thing is, I'm a big fan of Ray Bradbury. I really like his writing, and I have done since I was a kid. Where a humanities teacher made us sit down and read a short story called There Will Come Soft Rains, which, if you've never read it, I absolutely recommend you do. It's a fantastic piece of short fiction, and Ray Bradbury was well known for writing short stories. Back in the 50s, 40s, 50s and 60s, it was easy to sell short stories. Not so much now, but he really was a great master of the short story, as well as writing longer fiction. So you're talking about things like Martian Chronicles, also previously known as Silver Locust, or The Illustrated Man, notably because of both of those actually can be broken down into individual stories. They could be excerpted from those novels and published elsewhere. For example, There Will Come Soft Rains is one of those. But I didn't know that he'd actually written any crime stories. It's a bit like, the thing is, obviously, it's not that you can only go so far writing science fiction stories as he did. It's a case of obviously expanding his the range of stories that he could write and therefore sell, because it's not just a matter of being a master craftsman. When it comes to his oeuvre, it's also making a living of it, and so the wider type of stories, the more chances of sale and reaching into a different market as well. Thus, we have the crime. And I think it's the same thing with Isaac Asimov. He did it with his own collection of mysteries. But therefore, you have Killer Come Back to Me, which is the collected stories of Ray Bradbury, his crime stories. There is also a collected book of his short stories as well, which is also available. So, honouring Ray Bradbury's centennial, the definitive collection of the master's crime fiction. Ray Bradbury achieved literary renown for a diverse body of work, including masterpieces of fantasy and science fiction such as Fahrenheit 451, for which he's most famous, also adapted into a film by Sir Francis Truffaut, The Martian Chronicles, and Something Wicked This Way, which is his horror novel, in effect, as well as classic short stories that have thrilled, touched and terrified generations of readers. Though he was less well known for crime fiction, case in point, I didn't know, some of his finest work appeared in this genre, penned for publications ranging from 1940s pulp magazines such as Dime Mystery and Detective Tales to premier markets of the era such as McCall's and Playboy. This new collection contains 20 stories, including classics of the genre and rare, little-known gems such as the title story, Ray Bradbury's first published mystery. A number of these stories were adapted by the author himself for his popular TV series, The Ray Bradbury Theatre, and fans of Bradbury's work will recognise his such with crime stories about circus sideshow performers and ventriloquist dummies, sunken cathedrals, time travellers and robots that look just like people. But they also discovered plenty that is startling and familiar, such as the original short story that inspired a portion of Bradbury's famous novel Dandelion Wine, as well as that story's dark and psychologically disturbing sequel, written at the prompting of no less of a figure in the mystery field than Ellery Queen, also an author and publisher. No one ever wrote quite like Bradbury, and in this lavish collection demonstrates when he turned his hand to this genre, he produced some of the most unforgettable crime stories ever written. So this is actually an American hardback that I picked up, and I'm really glad to have this collection to read. It's not often that you get sort of like collections of short stories, I suppose. They're not as common as they used to be, but I have 20 of them here. So here we have, basically long ago, he climbed one night to the top of the courthouse tower fire escape and looked out at the silver town, at the town of the moon and the town of summer. And he'd seen all the dark houses with two things in them, people and sleep, the two elements joined in bed, and all their tiredness and terror breathed upon the still air. Siphoned back quietly and breathed out again until that element was purified. The problems and hatreds and horrors of the previous day exorcised long before morning and done away with forever. He'd been enchanted with the hour and the town, and he had felt very powerful, like the magic man with the marionettes who strung destinies across a stage on spider threads. On the very top of the courthouse tower, he could see the least flicker of leaf turning into the moonlight 5 miles away. The last light, like a pink pumpkin eye, wink out. The town did not escape his eye. It could do nothing without his knowing its every tremble and a gesture. And so it was tonight. And that's from Killer Come Back to Me. It's in the opening blurb. Just a bit of a flavour, badly read by me. And then, so we've got a bit of a background that so essentially one of the most celebrated writers of our time, and so on. Basically repeats much of the back cover blurb. Before we get into basically the content, and you've got a full list of some other hard case crime books you'll enjoy, part of the series. So you can actually go to the hard case crime website and have a look to see more. But because this was one of my favourite authors, I thought I would pick it up. And we've got an introduction here, The Talking Box, Ray Bradbury's crime fiction. So nice bit of introduction there. And, before we get into the full stories, starting with let's just say a touch of petulance, and these aren't particularly long. I mean, they are pieces of short fiction. Sort of 15 pages long and so on, and see if there's anything else. Occasionally we have a nice bit of illustration between them. And then we've got the see if we can find it again. Just Corpse Carnival again, going back to the sort of like the carnival. Something that he appeared to be fascinated with. I mean, obviously with things like Something Wicked This Way Comes, which is a very dark little film. Actually, it adapted into a dark little film I think made by Disney in the early 80s with Jason Robards. Basically talking about essentially exploring the whole idea of running away to the circus and it not being what it seems. Again, nicely illustrated, and if you said, there's an interesting range of fiction on here, crime themed but not always straight crime. Nevertheless, probably a chance to enjoy something different to what you might have previously read with Bradbury. So right down to the utterly perfect murder, something that crime writers have been visiting again and again, and then at last we have a piece by Bradbury himself, Hammett, Chandler, Not to Worry, An Introduction to a Memory of Murder, to end the book, and then we've got a list of essentially copyright notices, but where these titles previously appeared. And then more adverts for more hard case crime, if that's what you like to read. So I'm looking forward to digging into this and giving this a read through. It'll go on my shelf, and I'm glad to have that alongside my collection of Bradbury short fiction. Yeah, so that's Killer Come Back to Me, the crime stories of Ray Bradbury. And as if by magic, there goes the sound of the ice cream van. So, in the meantime, if you have enjoyed this unboxing in the Nook, then please do click that like button down below. If you've got any comments or feedback, I appreciate you taking the time to post those. And lastly, if you want to be alerted to yet more unboxing in the Nook, where you will see me out here with a parcel and a book or game, typically a game, which I will unbox and chat about to the best extent of my knowledge for roughly 10 minutes or so, all of course accompanied by a nice hot cup of tea, then please do hit that subscribe button. Once again, thanks for watching. I'll be back again soon with another unboxing in the Nook. Bye for now.